All right, I think we're going to get started. We've got a handful of folks in, and we'll just let other folks join as they come. So first off, thank you so much for joining us today. And thank you for A2IM for giving us this opportunity to connect with you all about something that's near and dear to our heart. If you are anything like me or a number of folks on this panel as well, you try to attend as many of these types of things as you can, whether it's A2IM or Music Biz, South by, Americana Fest, all of them. So you have likely seen a Digital Strategies for Musicians webinar a handful of times. I know I've both sat on a panel and moderated a panel like this a handful of times in the last few years. And as great as these can be, you may kind of come out of them feeling like, A, I've heard a lot of this stuff before, and B, a lot of this doesn't apply to me specifically. And so what we wanted to try to do is just be a little different than the way these usually go and be less focused on what your marketing strategy should look like, simply because there is no silver bullet, right? Nothing that will work for everyone. Your plan should be unique to you and to your music, to your audience, and to your specific strengths. And so rather than talk about, real tactical specific points that we'd like you to try to make, what we're going to do is we're going to take a slightly different approach this go around. We're going to focus more on sort of the foundational elements that we feel every artist should be familiar with and really be leaning into to make the most of what's available to them out there in the digital space, right? So a sort of skeleton that you can build to be more effective when you actually hang your specific tactical plan on that skeleton. Because those tactics that you're going to implement should, as I said, be very specific to you. So we're going to head through here. Our framework today looks like this. I'm going to tell you a little bit about Symphonic and sort of who we are and who you're hearing from today. And then we're going to touch on why we're going that route that I just kind of talked about. After that, I'm going to hand it off to the members of my team who are going to dig into what we call sort of that digital ecosystem and how you can build that strong foundation, which will make your unique plan much more effective when you get there and start building it, right? So we're going to touch on the DSP landscape, and that's digital service providers. I know we've got folks with different levels of experience here and different levels of engagement to the community. So that's digital service providers. We'll talk about all of those. We'll talk about who, as marketers, we're communicating with and what tools they have available for you to really kill it on their platforms. We'll talk about optimizing your brand and your social activity and building and owning just a really strong communication channel with that audience, with that community. These folks are going to go into sort of laying out the basics of an ideal release schedule timeline, both for your music and the content that you've got wrapped around that has to surround that music. And that's going to be one that includes the right lead time, the right intention, right consistency. And then if we have time, we're going to talk about a few of our favorite digital partners, folks that are out there that we lean on as secret weapons, who are sort of helping execute a lot of what we're going to lay out today. And we'll try to put them in some place that you can grab them afterward because we're really going to through it super quickly. But after that, we'll open it up to questions if you've got them. And like I said, please throw them into that question and answers chat. We'll get to them as much as we can. So super quickly here, if you're not familiar with Symphonic, we are a 100% independent music marketing and distribution company. We're based in Tampa, Florida, but we have offices across the U.S. and abroad, Nashville, Brooklyn, Los Angeles, Atlanta, and internationally in Colombia, Brazil, Canada, Argentina, South Africa, growing more and more each week to kind of expand those footprints and really connect with those markets in meaningful ways. Our offering's pretty robust. We offer emerging and established record labels, managers, and artists. Music distribution, video distribution, physical distribution. The team you're hearing from today offers marketing support for playlist placements. We offer promotional release support, so all kinds of other things that as a client you can lean on and use to make your delivery even more impactful. And then integration of very specialized services, whether it's royalty collection, monetization, et cetera. The team that you are hearing from today is that DSP relationship marketing team. My name is Michael Burrows. I lead the team out of Nashville. We've also got Anna Maria Gamboa in Colombia, Bogota. Chelsea Grant is in New York. Gabby Weizenfeld in Miami. Kat Harville's in Nashville here as well. Greg DeVito in New York as well. And Wyatt Thomas is in Nashville also. And all of these folks are dedicated genre specialists on that marketing team focused on results for our artists, right? In addition to the specialization there and the expertise, they are evangelists for this music. there's a ton of music coming out, right? And for you to really get onto those playlists and get those features and get that visibility with the DSP, you need someone in your corner. And so what they really play the role of is that megaphone for our artists, right? You're delivering music to us. These folks know how to distill it down to something that's really going to punch that DSP in the face. And they've got the direct lines of communication open to those folks. And so we are using what we've got in, our arsenal, whether it's, a open line of communication or a really great marketing driver, to get as much visibility for your music as we possibly can. They're pests, and they're good pests, and they do it well, and it's why we're effective. So good stuff there. So marketing strategy in the streaming world, like we talked a little bit about already, the situation is a little bit different than it once was, certainly. And there's a lot of ways to market your music. We are going to focus very specifically on what your distributor can do for you, what you can do for yourself for additional visibility at a DSP, right? First and foremost, what the whole thing was about here when they put it together is what can you do to be an effective distributor of your music? First and foremost, that is find the right distributor to work with, right? Getting your music out there, delivering the ones and zeros is the primary easy part of music distribution. But some of them do it a heck of a lot better than others, and some are wider spread, and some have a really great arsenal of tools. We like to believe that we're at the top of that chart. Like I said, there's no silver bullet that's going to work for everybody, so your plan has to be unique. But we want you to better understand the things that, as marketers, as those pesterers that I mentioned these guys are at a distribution company, what we know will help you and your music be heard, be harder to ignore in the streaming world. What lets you stand out amongst all of that music that is out there, and what you can do yourself. So we hope you find a useful nugget or two of insight here. And with that, I'm going to hand it off to Wyatt and Anna, who are going to talk about our partners.
Cool. Thanks, Michael. I just want to start out by saying that as an independent artist, this is your business. You are the CEO of your company, if you will. So we're going to go through some things that are going to be effective for you for pre and post release in the form of these DSP backends. In the landscape of independent artists, like where there's a lot of things that are out of your control, these are going to be some things that you actually can control that are free that we're going to share with you next. I just kind of like to use this analogy as as a business owner. If you were to own a coffee shop, you wouldn't open the doors of the coffee shop, toss the keys to an employee, and then go on vacation. You're going to want to check in. You're going to look at the books. You're going to want to know what's going on, how that business is ran, and we're going to show you some of those tools that are available for you to do so. Next slide, please.
Very quickly, I kind of left this out. This is just sort of a quick snapshot of some of the partners that these folks are in communication with every week, looking for that visibility. You're aware of those top 3 or 4, but there's all kinds of other places where you can gain audience, where you can gain streams, where you can gain financial support. We're going to talk about a handful of them.
Yes, starting with Apple Music. Like most of these DSP backends, they offer a demographics tab, which you can see in the center there. That shows your demographics, your territory, where your biggest hand raisers, your biggest fans are. Kind of a unique thing that Apple Music does is show milestones, little icons below that give you kind of a little more insight of like, hey, your latest single crossed 10,000 streams. Hey, you've got 5,000 Shazams maybe on this catalog track. That type of data kind of allows you to lean into those things, because if you're not aware and you're only focused on the latest single, you could be missing some opportunities there on that back catalog. So demographics from Apple Music, they show stream counts. Same kind of rules apply there too. It's, to get a snapshot of like what your entire catalog looks like is very insightful. So you're not just focusing on that latest release. Something could be happening from a track you put out 2 or 3 years ago that maybe is, gaining traction organically, and you'll be able to see some of that stuff here. If you are able to score a editorial playlist from Apple Music, those are showcased on that top left there. Like most of these DSP backends, you're able to create a social asset once secured and able to share with a unique link on your profiles, which is super handy to promote that latest release in the form of that playlist. Always good to tag your DSP partners in those posts to show them some love. Update your profile banners. So, when you're having guests over to your house, you want to kind of clean up the living room, clean up the kitchen. Same rules apply for your profiles here. You could update your banners and your profile pics all through this backend. Those are some of the free offerings that Apple Music offers. In addition, there are some things that Symphonic could help you and partner with. Those are spatial audio uploads. We could set up a pre-order for an album or an EP, upload official music videos to your platform, along with motion graphics. So this is artist.apple.com, available on desktop and iOS and Android. Next slide. Amazon Music, few of the same, but also some more unique offerings from Amazon. In addition to their demographics, they show where you've gotten playlisted. They have social asset creation in form of what they call Hype Deck. A couple of really, really unique things from Amazon. Their voice index, which you can see on the center slide there. So in the form of Alexa, if fans or whoever is asking for whether it's a lyric, the song title, the album title, or even your artist name, that's going to show up here as an index. So you can see like the meter showing there, that's a hot index. That means somebody's asking for you or a track name specifically, and that's a big deal. So to go in here and look at that and know that somebody is asking and has demand for your product is something you could leverage in that current release or moving forward in the next release. They also have another really unique feature called Spotlight. You could add and upload yourself an audio intro to the track or the latest release, kind of speaking on behalf of what that release is about, whether you want to talk about the songwriters you wrote with, who produced it, when you wrote it, maybe the type of vibe the track is. You're able to upload that audio, pin it with the track that you're associating that with, and pin it to your profile. Super, super helpful. Again, updating your banners to make everything match cohesively across all platforms is super important. And this allows you to do all that here. Again, artist.amazonmusic.com for this one, available on Android and iOS as well.
Well, this one you might be familiar with, Spotify for Artists. It also has several tools similar to Apple and Amazon. Right off the bat, if you go into artist.spotify.com, you're going to get your homepage where you can see stats from the last 7 days, your top songs, either if you have a previous release and how that one's performing or an upcoming release with a nice pre-release checklist. So it'll give you more ideas on the tools that you can be using. On the left side, you're going to find lots of other tools like the music, where you can see all of your releases, the stats songs by songs. You can also find the playlist that you've been added to, and you can see it divided by algorithmic playlists, editorial playlists, and listener-created playlists. You can also find the pitching tool of your upcoming releases. So that'll take you to a little questionnaire. You can answer some questions, and that information is going to be shared with the editorial team for Spotify. It'll also let you add your canvas, which we do recommend you add canvases to all of the releases that you have. You also have an audience tool where you can see different, the overview, the demographics, the location, so you can better understand the listeners that you have. They also have two cool tools. One is called Segments, which will show you and divide your listeners in 3 different groups. The active audience, which are the listeners that have been intentionally streaming your music over the last 28 days. The previous active audience is more so the audience that used to be intentionally streaming your music, but not so much now. And then program audience talks about of the listeners that are coming through editorial or algorithmic playlists or radio. So it gives you a nice rundown of who these listeners are and how they're getting into listening to your music. They also have a release engagement tool that is still in beta, but it'll show you your latest releases, how your followers are listening to, and it'll give you more ideas on how to engage. So it might suggest you to maybe share a promo card. You can also create all of these assets within Spotify so that you can share on your socials. It'll also maybe suggest to create an ad campaign. They have two different sets of ad campaigns, Showcase and Marquee. These are paid campaigns, but you can get them through your Spotify for Artists. It'll show you the releases, and it's very easy to create those. And then the last option that they offer is video and visuals. They have clips. They're also starting to work with longer videos. So you might start seeing those popping up on Spotify. But these are tools that are available to you. Then you can also update your profile. You can go and update the banner, select an artist pick. You can update your bio if you are selling merch. So there's lots of things that you can be doing on Spotify for Artists. They also have the app, so you can go ahead and download it as well. Next slide, please. And aside from these three that we've talked, if we were to talk about all of the ones that we have, we'll stay here hours and hours. So go ahead and check out all of these other great DSPs partners that we have that have great backend tools: Pandora, YouTube, SoundCloud, Tidal, TikTok, AudioMac, Meta, and Deezer. They offer similar services. You can see your audience. You can update all of the bio, the images that you have over there. You can pitch. You can do several things. I also want to remind everyone for TikTok to go ahead and claim your music tab. It is very important. That way, your fans can go into your profile, see the music that you have, create videos with the music that you have. So make sure that you have that on your profile, and make sure to go ahead and explore all of the great backends and all of the tools that the DSPs have available to you. Because as Wyatt said, it is important that you are thinking about your business. So if you have all of these tools, go ahead and look for all of the information, all of the data. That way you can understand your audience better. That way you know what is going on behind the scenes as well.
Totally. And I was going to add one more thing. And so these aren't like all finite features at the moment. You'll notice once you download all of these individual DSP backends that they're unrolling features all the time. Tidal has a pitch tool. I left out that Amazon absolutely has a pitch tool as well, in addition to Deezer. So these things are forever changing. They're only going to get more and more robust. So get in there early and get familiar while you can.
Awesome. So now we're going to talk about how to study your brand and stay on top of what is trending specifically on your social platforms, starting with what we like to call high affinity creators. So these are artists that have a similar style or sound that you can kind of emulate for branding and targeting purposes. And there's a few questions we like to encourage artists to ask when looking at these high affinity creators. One of these questions being, how close or personal are they with their fans? How do they communicate with their fans? And what is their aesthetic / branding that you can kind of look towards for inspiration with your own content? Another thing to consider is what makes you interesting and unique. So Gabby is going to elaborate a little later on with some specific content examples, but some things to think about include, is there a cultural month that you can join the conversation for? For example, API month, Black Music Month, Pride, etc. Any of these are great opportunities to lean in if you feel comfortable and show a little more to your audience about who you are outside of just music-related content. Along these lines, are you also a producer or a songwriter in addition to just a great artist? You put on a really good live show. These are all good things to consider. Your fans really want you to take them behind the scenes and show them exactly what makes you unique outside of just being someone telling them to go listen to their song. Another thing to consider is, what are you interested in outside of just music? So what are your other skills and interests? Maybe you're really into fashion or cooking, or you're reading, you're on Book Talk, whatever it might be, lean into that and create content around it to show off your personality and give your audience a better picture of who you are. Another good example of this is volunteerism. Are there any causes that you're really passionate about supporting? Whatever it might be, to give a more rounded picture of you. And then we also wanted to touch on a couple platforms that are great to check out in order to stay on top of what's trending and all the new tools that are offered to music creators. So one of these that's really important is the TikTok Creative Center. And you can see that picture down below, a little screenshot from that website. This is a great place to go and really dig into what hashtags and topics are trending. Keep up to date on all the new features and tools offered to artists on the platform. And Instagram has a similar tool for you with the IG Music Partners account. So definitely recommend giving that a follow. Similar thing, they keep you up to date on all those new features and tools specifically for music creators. So we have a picture on this slide as well of a recent post that they did talking about the new feature where you can pin a comment to your Instagram story. And then lastly, for this one, we wanted to touch a little bit on analytics. So this is something that a lot of people aren't really aware of that they have in a lot of their social backends. So specifically on Instagram and TikTok, you have an Insights tab on the bottom of your post that allows you to view analytics that help inform future post strategies. So for example, you can see things like average watch time, demographic of viewers, what videos did best from the discovery page versus people finding them straight from your profile, how many reposts you got, how many people sent or DM'd your video. All of these are great things to look at when considering what type of content to lean into. So we always tell people, be reactive, amplify what's already working. If you post a video and you see it has a 2-second average watch time, it's a 30-second video, then probably not something you're going to want to recreate for the next time. So definitely pay attention to those. I should mention as well for YouTube Shorts and the YouTube Studio Analytics, you can find these information in the content tab for them as well. Next slide, please. Awesome. So now we're going to talk about more of some of the tactical uses of these digital touch points. So starting out, it is super important that you're shouting out all partners. I know Wyatt and Anna kind of touched on this, but specifically when you're posting about your song, make sure that you are tagging not just Spotify, but also Tidal, Apple, Deezer, SoundCloud, etc. In the same way that you are posting links to your music on all the platforms that you can. Your pre-save link includes all the DSPs possible, and you're doing story posts highlighting all the different DSPs that you can. Our partners do care about this. They notice, and it will affect some of the support that you might get. So definitely pay attention to that and make sure that you're doing that for all partners. Then we also wanted to talk about the benefit of cross-posting and reposting. So there's obviously a lot of things that independent artists are having to stay on top of. So we always want to look for ways to make that easier. Cross-posting, specifically wanted to point out cross-posting for Instagram and Facebook is a really easy way to get your content on as many platforms as possible without doing any more work. So this is something you can find in your settings on Instagram, turn it on. Whatever you post on Instagram, whether it's a reel or whatever it may be, will then be uploaded to your Facebook automatically. And then kind of in line with that, reposts do count as content as well. So especially when you're in the middle of a release cycle and you're trying to post content every day, a repost is a really easy, low-lift way to engage with the platform and still continue to build that audience without creating new content. So whether that's reposting a video that a fan made using your song, or even just reposting something you find funny or relatable, it's a great way to engage. And then build excitement. So you want to make sure that you're not afraid to over-promote. What is old news to you is very likely new to someone else, especially with the way that short form content is delivered these days. There's a high likelihood that when you post a video, it is reaching hundreds or even thousands of people who have never heard your song, never seen your face. So don't feel like you're beating a dead horse. It's never too much. And we also recommend teasing releases at least 2 weeks out. When you do this, it's super important to make sure you have your call to actions ready. So for example, have that pre-save link in your bio, be pre-delivering that sound to TikTok if you can. So you're optimizing all of that great promo that you're doing. And then be sure that your content is specific to the platform that you're posting on. So definitely want to make sure that you have watermarks removed. Don't mention other platforms, not on their platform. Edit the content in-app if possible. So use their filters or templates. Utilize special features like the Shorts remix, where you can remix your own video to use in short form content. Things like that can really help boost the algorithm. And then lastly, for this one, wanted to touch on consistency. So obviously making sure your personality / brand is shining through across all platforms. You're updating all your profile pics and banners headed into a new release cycle, making sure that this is one consistent image across all platforms. And then especially for short form content, be sure that you're posting at least 3 to 5 times weekly in order to keep building that audience. Next slide, please.
Cool. Thanks, Kat. Kat mentioned some really important and useful ways to use social media. Now I'm kind of gonna dig a little deeper into like the type of content that you're feeding your fans or posting to reach new audiences. So first, super important to think in terms of social media that you should have different verticals, kind of different types of content that make sense with your brand. Because you really want to showcase who you are as a person. People are going to become your fan not only because of your music, but because they resonate with your personality as well. So here I kind of divided it into 3 kind of content types that I'm going to share and then share some examples. The first one, music, not only, of course, the music that you're promoting, which we're going to touch a little further on later, but also what else can you do? What kind of music content can you post to kind of showcase your talent? So covers are really good kind of pieces of content, but if you really make them original, I think a good way to think about them is try to make a cover sound like your original music. That way you're kind of getting people interested because they already know the song, and then you're funneling those people into hearing your original music. So the first example here is from a really great duo called Nico. They're doing a cover of Someone You Loved. I'll let Michael play this and then kind of go a little bit into it after. Oh, looks like we're not hearing that come through. No worries, I can go into it. This is basically they're doing a cover of Someone You Love, the Louis Capaldi track, and they're singing with beautiful harmonies. It just sounds great. Later, you guys can go ahead and listen to it. But the really cool thing about this is that their music is very much like vocal pop. So the way that they made this cover is very in line with their original music. So if you just come across it and you listen to it, you like it, you're probably also going to like their original music because it's very in line with what it sounds like. Then yeah, it's really, really small, but that text over there says, why is this song so hard to sing without getting emotional? So that already hooks you from the beginning. You're like, oh, like I kind of want to hear what they're talking about in terms of like getting emotional. Also, in the beginning, they kind of start off like before they do the take. So it's very natural. It doesn't seem staged. It's very real. So kind of a really cool way to showcase your music, like in a cover format, and then to kind of reel those people in to listen to your original music. And then for the next kind of type of content, trends, which also Kat mentioned. Trends, are certain videos or even like keywords or things that are kind of popping off on certain platforms. So if you kind of hop on them and kind of make them your own, you have more of a chance to reach a larger audience because already those platforms are kind of pushing that content a bit more. So hopping on them kind of gives you an advantage. And then this second video here is kind of an example of like mixing like a music type of content with a trend. This is a really cool indie rock band out of LA. And they did this cover of Noah Kahan's Dial Drunk, which Noah Kahan, when they posted this video, was very trending with Stick Season at the time. So like just having that name on there kind of gave him even more exposure. If you want to try, let's try it. I am proud of all the horses that I've grown. And all the shame of me, I'm joking alone. And I tried to trend you. I will have that make you in the car. Even inside of me to see photo. Cool. So yeah, I'm not sure if you guys could tell, but that definitely a different kind of version of the original songs. Is a lot more indie rock, which is really cool because also you're kind of listening to the song in a different way, which is very in line with what they're releasing as artists and their original music. And also kind of shows the way that they perform live with the, bass, a guitar and a drum set. So you kind of get a glimpse of what their music is like. So also really cool editing. They're doing a lot of zoom ins. There's a lot of text on there, really engaging. Very natural too when like his hat falls off in the middle of the take. So just kind of things to think about when you're making content. And then for the third kind of type of content, we have lifestyle. Again, super, super important. This kind of showcases like your personality. Like what are your other hobbies? What are your other talents? What besides music makes you connect like with other people? And what are your affinities and what do you like? So whether it's anything like soccer, cooking, fitness, knitting, like there's so many communities out there that you can kind of be a part of. And that kind of benefits you because you can piggyback off of these communities and like build fans and grab the audiences from those communities and take them to your music. So in this third example, we have a Dominican artist. Her name is Letonpe, super outgoing personality, and has started to do these like vlogs where she's giving like tips on how to make you feel hot, like especially when you're down, you're kind of down. So really cool, like engaging content. She's providing value for people watching. And at the same time, she is putting her song in the background of the video, kind of referencing it a little bit because her song, when she released it at the time, had to do with, kind of feeling hot, feeling good about yourself. But she's doing so in a way where it's entertaining, it's funny. Like if you're in her, like the audience that she's targeting, you're probably going to be hooked by this video. And so, yeah, it is in Spanish, so you might not understand, but you can tell just like her charisma and just the energy that she has in the video. So I'll let Michael play that one.
What'd you say, Mariah? Silencio. Back to the thing. Mucha profundidad, mucho análisis, mucha filosofía, mucha filosofía en los videos anteriores. Felicidades. Hoy no andamos en esa. Hay días que uno simplemente quiere servir la industria y hoy es uno de ellos. Entonces, en honor a que nos nominaron para un soberano y en Oda mi canción Rojo Rubí, que solamente habla de sentirse poderosa, deseosa, desgarrante. Y claro está que aprovechando que tengo un t-shirt de Mariah, aquí te voy a dar estos tips para sentirte hot en esos momentos en que ni tú te crees tu propia movie. Para esos momentos en que tú estás de personaje secundario en tu propia película, como que no procede. Son tips muy básicos. Puede que no te sirvan para nada. Voy a ser breve. Número 1, peiname la ceja y anda boca chula. Oye, no es que te va a maquillar. Sin producto. Haz una peinadita, sansa, sin días. Que número.
Cool. So yeah, you could tell already from the beginning, she's super engaging, super charismatic. Like the editing is just so well done. Like she brings up Mariah, super like good hook at the beginning. And yeah, you just like, you don't want to stop watching. So really good example of bringing in something that she's into, like vlogging, into her music and engaging for other people. So yeah. And then that last fourth example, I did want to bring an example of someone promoting their own music. I think Reagan is a really good example of an artist that we work with that does a great job, especially on TikTok, but in general on socials. She's just really good at like hooking people and really grabbing the people from certain communities. She does like dark pop. And in this video specifically, it's very straightforward, but her hook is just really great. It's the text over there, it's really small, but it says, "Some guy told me girls can't make beats, so I made the song with a coin out of literal spite." So like so much drama in that text. It's very controversial. So you as like a watcher are like, okay, like I want to find out like why this guy said that. I want to like hear her make the song with the coin. So really great example. And then I'll let Michael play it and then talk about it. Looks like we can't hear this one either, but no worries. Yeah, very much like a dark pop song. And you can kind of also tell with like her, the way that she's singing into the camera, her makeup, like her clothes, it's very in line with who she is as an artist. And just with that little hook at the beginning, if you're into that, you're probably going to get reeled in. So just super important to make socials work for you. If you don't like, doing vlogs, if you don't like doing covers, you don't have to. It's all depends on who you are, but it's just important to have this consistency and this content to provide your fans with. And think outside the box. I mean, there's so many artists that just say, listen to my music. Like, why will I listen to my music without you giving me a reason to? So like evoke feelings, like stir drama, think about like the psychology behind, what people like and kind of cater that to your art and your personality.
And we'll share these links afterward as well, because I apologize, the sound didn't work on a couple of them. Some really, really great content here. So good picks. And there we go.
Cool. Great. Thank you. So in this section, direct to fan, we're really focusing on how are you building relationships with your fans and talking to them directly. So the first bullet here, communication channels. It's really important to have this one-on-one communication with fans. So whenever you have something that you want them to do, whether it's stream your song, buy your merch, go to your show, etc., you have a direct way of giving them that information. So that's where mailing lists and SMS marketing come in. You're reaching people directly to their email, directly to their text messages, which is so much easier to do sometimes than on socials, of course, super important socials. But when you're asking them to take action, it's so much easier if they just get an email, or especially if you have a Gen Z audience, if you're sending them a text where they could just look at their phone and then immediately get the notification. So super important. Also, you own that information. So you don't depend on another, social media platform to be able to give them the information that you want to give them. And then a cool way to kind of get fans to join these mailing lists or to get to sign up for this SMS marketing is incentivizing them to sign up by giving them access to unreleased music, never before seen content, discounts on shows, discounts on merch, like giveaways, things like that to reel them in. And then another kind of really great tool that is relatively new is broadcast channels. Instagram has one. Also WhatsApp, if you have a big audience in Latin America or Europe, good to use. But this kind of also serves as a way to kind of provide information to your fans directly. They get a DM on Instagram if you send them a message through there. So a lot more effective if you want them to do something than, posting a story, because you're sending them a message, they're opening it, they have the link right there. And it's also a really cool way to build community because it's kind of like a big group chat. So you can create polls, questionnaires with your fans and interact with them as a whole. And then finally, website, super, super important. They're super easy to make nowadays. There's cheap, they're cheap and they're really easily upkept if you work with some platforms like Jamfeed, Bandzoogle. There's a couple more out there. But this is 100% owned by you. So you control it. You have all the data behind it. You don't have to depend on, sometimes social media apps go down a certain day. If you have all your traffic, for your merch or for your shows there, you don't have any more traffic because it's down. So if you have your website, you can control everything, all your data, and you have all your links and your important information in one place. So now I'll leave it for Kat to talk about fan participation.
Awesome. Thanks, Gabby. Yeah. So leaning into fan participation, we like to say, create your own digital street team. So there's a few good ways to kind of get fans involved in your promo. One of these Gabby kind of touched on, but contests and giveaways. For example, asking fans to tag you in a video they create around your song and follow you for a chance at winning merch, tickets, getting a preview at unreleased music, like she mentioned. Another great example of this is asking fans to create videos for a chance to be featured as your Spotify canvas. This is a really cool example. You can switch it out week to week and really reward fans for creating content around your music. And then another great way to have some fan participation is via live streams. So you can go live on release day, do a Q&A with your fans to really get them excited about a project you just dropped. You can utilize YouTube's live redirect and Premiere Countdown for a new music video to kind of build excitement and get everyone online as soon as that video drops. And then lastly, obviously you want to encourage UGC as much as possible. So if you're able to start a trend, that is great. CapCut templates and Reel templates are a great way to add accessibility for fans to be able to easily recreate that trend. Duetting your favorite videos from fans is also a great way to interact with your fans and, again, reward them for creating content, build that relationship with them. And then there's also a great feature on Instagram where you can pin your favorite reels that people create to the top of your audio page for your track. And this is just another awesome way to reward your fans and give them a little love for helping you out with some promo. Similarly, TikTok has the fan spotlight feature, which you can see on the right side of the screen, where you can spotlight, I think, up to 5 videos on your profile. I'm going to pass it off to Greg.
All right. So with all of that in mind, we can now talk about releasing some music, both strategy and cadence. So like Michael mentioned in the beginning, I think it's really important to address, no silver bullet. Every artist, every release is different, as Gabby and Kat detailed with content creation. The same applies even to the timing between releases, right? So we do want to start with that question, timing. It's one we get all the time that we're going to address here with these first 3 bullets. We get this one a lot. When do I need to deliver my music? When do I need to submit marketing drivers? So we as a distributor recommend getting your music delivered at least 4 weeks in advance of your anticipated release date, along with your marketing driver submission. We start our conversations with DSPs at about that 4-week mark. So we want to make sure that your music is delivered to our partners before we start those conversations. So that's really important that it's there in the Spotify backend. Ideally, it's already been pitched through the Spotify pitch tool before our team, as the DSP relations side of things, starts our outreach and pitching our artist and label reps and editors. Next up, if you're an artist who thinks that maybe a publicist or a radio promotions company or a company to run digital ads or influencer campaigns is going to make sense for your upcoming release cycle, start those conversations even earlier. I recommend at least 2 to 3 months in advance of the start of that cycle. If you have a publicist or a radio promoter in mind that you feel like is just like the perfect fit for your upcoming, say, album or EP cycle, they're probably pretty in demand. They're going to want to, they're going to be booking really far out. Some publicists that book 6 months out. So, start really early if you know you have someone you want to get in touch with and bring them onto the team for this cycle. So as soon as you have music that you feel comfortable sharing, I would start that outreach and get your team locked in well in advance of that release cycle. And the last question here, as far as timing goes, that we receive all of the time is timing between releases, right? We have artists that come to us with a ton of music, not really sure the cadence that they should be rolling it out with. We recommend about 5 to 6 weeks. We feel like that's just the right cadence to help fight audience decay and to keep your algorithms active. Thinking about containers like Release Radar on Spotify, where only 1 song per artist will be featured for up to 4 weeks. It's important to keep that in mind if that's an important thing for your rollout, because if you're releasing too frequently, you're just going to risk cannibalizing your own algorithmic streams. So again, no silver bullet. We've worked with artists who release music every 2 weeks and do so effectively and achieve the goals that they had going into that rollout. But for us, we usually recommend 5 to 6 weeks. Just feels like the right spacing to keep that cadence active, keep your algorithms active. And one more here on this slide for building momentum, we suggest the waterfall approach. We've seen more and more artists adopt it successfully. And if you're not familiar with waterfalling singles, it's the strategy of packaging a recently released single or singles with your newest release. So, we're fans of the strategy here. It can help drive streams to your last single while you're promoting your newest one. So we can take a look at an example here from a little known developing artist by the name of Zach Bryan, who just doesn't stop releasing fantastic music. So he put out, I think this was in like 2022, he waterfalled some tracks. This is from Austin. This is the first single in the waterfall. This is the standalone track. You can see, I think it was maybe a month or so later, he released Highway Boys. So you can see in this package, in this product, Highway Boys is now first in sequence. He packaged it, or waterfalls it rather, with From Austin, now second in the sequence. He does it again in this example with the next single, Late July. Late July is now first in the sequence, and those previous 2 singles are second and third. So now when Zach goes and promotes this track on his socials, and one of his fans goes to their DSP of choice to listen to Late July, the most recent single, it's going to be right that those last 2 singles from Austin, Highway Boys, are going to be packaged with this product. They're right there. So ideally, that fan is now consuming all 3 of these tracks, maybe those other 2, again, assuming they've listened to them once before. And that way, rather than letting autoplay take control and maybe bump to a different artist or track after Late July, you're keeping your fans listening to your most recent releases. From an artistic perspective, I really appreciate that, because if these songs are building to an album, then they're probably cohesively meant to be together. So that's really nice as an artist. On the distro label side, you're continuing to drive recent activity to the most recent releases, which is great as well. And now let's talk about some pre-release strategies and different tools that we've been working with our artists and labels on activating that we've seen some do really successfully. SoundCloud exclusive teaser. This has been a bit newer to us. We've been working really closely with the SoundCloud team on this, and it's actually a great feature. So how it works is SoundCloud ideally prefers about 5 days before the official release date that an artist posts a teaser on their profile. So Right now, it's mostly through a manual upload. Most importantly, they need to be monetizing the track, or monetizing the teaser rather. It needs to be at least 30 seconds long for it to be monetized. So across the board for SoundCloud, we definitely recommend you're monetizing all your content. It needs to be monetizing for playlist and marketing consideration on platform. But the great thing about the teasers on SoundCloud is all of the teaser streams and all of the comments that happen on the track page on SoundCloud, which SoundCloud is one of the more interactive DSPs as far as artists being able to respond to comments on the track page, fans being able to comment and just have interaction within the track is really cool. All of those streams, all of those comments will roll over into the official track release. When the track releases, say the teaser posts on Monday of a release week and the official comes out on Friday, you can roll the streams and those comments into the official release on that Friday, which gives that official track a nice boost out of the gate. It's a little more technical. So if you're working with a label distributor, you want to make sure you're requesting that merge of the teaser and the official track release like the day before the actual release. So something to keep in mind. But there's no guarantees, of course, but working with the SoundCloud team, we've seen a lot of really nice support editorially for artists leaning in and using teasers on platform. And then the next one here, TikTok, Meta, Shorts, kind of no-brainer. Artists have been using these for a while to pre-release snippets of audio and tease tracks coming up. So here's just an example of Sublime stick figure, more of a promotional asset here where they used an animated cover art for their recent single paired with, I think, a 15-second audio teaser to promote a pre-save campaign.
All let me do what I feel like. All let me do what I feel like. All let me do what I feel like. All let me.
I don't know if you could hear it. The audio was coming better in our rehearsal, I promise. But it's a great song. So this is a very promotional asset, right? Using the artwork, using an audio snippet to push a pre-save. We do recommend any artists who are going to be using, audio early on TikTok or Meta or Shorts, pair it with the pre-save. There's really no harm in doing so. Even if you don't want to be super promotional with the pre-save, we've seen artists put a pre-save link in their bio, not even mention that they're doing a pre-save, but post a ton of content with that audio snippet released early on these platforms and end up getting a ton of pre-saves. There's really no harm in doing it. You don't have to push it a ton if you don't want to, or you can be a little more promotional, like in this example here. Last one, as far as pre-tool, newer one, we started using this, I believe last month it became available to us, is the Spotify countdown page. So it is their native pre-save. You can see some of the features in that screenshot there that it gives you. You can see the real-time countdown timer. You get to see the track list preview. I believe you can add video clips to it. So it's just it's a really cool tool. I think it's going to be really effective moving forward, and it'll be rolling out. I don't know the timing of it, but I believe it's going to be rolling out wider throughout the year. As a distributor, I know we just got access last month for EP and albums, but it's a really cool one, and I think more artists will have access to it soon. And again, the whole strategy of any of these pre-tools, we call them, is really just to build excitement to make a bigger splash on release day, right? So now wanted to take those last two slides and kind of wrap them up into just like an album rollout example here for timing wise. Say you have a 10-song album, like here's what we might recommend as a distributor to both give your team lots of chances to go to bat for you and just build a lot of anticipation heading into that album release. So if you have a 10-song album, we're probably going to recommend at least 4 singles before that album release, keeping in mind the cadence we talked about, which is about 5 to 6 weeks between each release. If you're going to be bringing on PR radio or say an ad agency, start that conversation a few months before the album kicks off. So in this example, album is going to kick off with the first single in April, singles every 5 to 6 weeks, building to that album release in September. If you're a touring artist, you're going to want to get out on the road and support that album, sell vinyl, sell merch. That would happen sometime after the album release. And then for each of the singles and the album, of course, we appreciate when an artist marries those releases to something else happening. That's an important moment in the cycle. So maybe that first single has an official video. The second single is the official album announce and say the vinyl pre-order. The third single would be the tour announce. The fourth single, maybe there's some exclusive behind the scenes content, or you run some sort of contesting campaign to build anticipation as you get closer to that album release. I skipped over that first bullet. Got to give Michael Burrows credit there for the Be a Series, Not a Scene. I did Google it. I didn't see it anywhere out there. I think he should trademark it, but it's just kind of really sums up like our whole team's strategy and approach to releasing music. That's why I wanted to put an example here of an album rollout. It's just like, we have a lot of artists come to us and like, hey, I have one single. I'm not sure what to do. I want to put it out yesterday. Like, well, let's step back and think about this a little bit more and think about what else could come after it. What can we do to really promote each? And I just saw your note. We're running a little low on time. So I'll wrap it up there. But most importantly, with all of these things that I've mentioned, it's all about being consistent with your rollout, being intentional, and being meaningful.
Awesome. So what I have here, I'm just leaning in more to determining when to release your music. Just a few case studies of people that have included some different things as far as their rollout is concerned. On the first little picture there, we have Kes and Sean Paul, who released a track with us called Out of This World, which was actually the official theme song of the Cricket World Cup. With that release, Sean Paul actually announced his US World Tour. Also, Kes also announced some of his new music as well. The music video that was taking place for this video also included Usain Bolt, a lot of the cricket players internationally as well that are well renowned. So just that one specific event had a huge impact in the rollout of this. So when you're trying to figure out when to put out music, if there is an event that is happening that will impact your song, then you have to give it just a little bit more of a lead time in order to make sure that all these moving pieces work together. That's that one. On the right there, those boots for Cowboy Carter, we all have definitely had some kind of familiarity with and conversation around Beyonce's country album. But one thing we wanted to take a look at here is the cultural relevancy. A lot of times people are saying, I need 8 weeks or 10 weeks to put out a song, but we are still human beings. We do tend to look at different trends and things that are happening. So if it is that you are a country artist around that time, that would be a great time to put out new music. Maybe you were waiting for something else, but because of the ripple effect that Beyonce created, it would have been a good time to put something out if you are of that genre. I just wanted to take some quotes from Billboard because they actually did a case study on that as far as the increase in streams for a number of country artists. So Tanner Adele, if you've ever heard of Buckle Bunny, she saw a 188% increase of streams around Beyonce's album drop. Raina Roberts saw a 250% increase in streams. Reese Palmer, another country artist, received 110% increase in streams. So, at the end of the day, we're all consumers and human beings at the end of the day. So we want to make sure that if there is something that's happening worldwide, that we want to be a part of the conversation. At the bottom of the screen, we have a couple of the playlist covers. So whether it be for Pride or Women's History Month, 420, or any kind of cultural celebration, we want to make sure that we're paying attention to those things too when it comes to a release cadence. So for Christmas, which is a big holiday, of course, that's celebrated by many, but it's also big as far as consumers shopping and also listening to music. So it's big in this industry. We typically get people, or DSPs rather, asking us for Christmas music in August. So that's just to consider, when you're putting out music and also when you're creating music, DSPs are asking us for that way ahead of time. That picture there is of 2 Chainz, who put out a single called Watch Out in 2015. With that single, he also released his Dabbing Santa merch. That was my dab, guys, right? His Dabbing Santa merch. Shopify did a case study on his merch rollout along with the single. He actually amassed over 2 million in 1 month just from that Dabbing Santa. So that's to show you where, if you plan ahead of time, again, to deliver the music to the DSPs and also bring in the merch and other aspects, I think Greg had mentioned as far as publicists and radio, et cetera, then you can really have a strong rollout. But all of those things need time and also, pre-planning in order to get that in order to the audiences. Next one. I hope you guys like my dab. I tried very hard for that dab. All right. So this one is a little different, but we spoke a lot about content and producing different things. For independent artists, sometimes you don't have the budget to do 1,000 different things, but it is key that you take one big piece of content and really repurpose that into smaller pieces of content. You know, my colleague spoke about a lot of different aspects of where you can put this content, but this, for one, is like a music video. You can take that music video and break it into several different things. And for instance, behind the scenes, TikTok, Spotify clips, and motion arts. There's also, if you have a documentary, this one is Soul Assassin, who put out a documentary about 2 years ago, which really set the precedence for his new music now. And he was able to chop that into a couple of different things as well, including still images, YouTube shorts, exclusive content for websites, also the rollout of his merch as well. The last one on here is Sublime, who did an amazing performance at Coachella, which we are really excited about because that came out, their new single came out through Symphonic. So big up to our team there. But they were able to take that documentary lifestyle footage and chop that into different pieces of content as well. You can take a look there. So, right. So now you can take that live footage and put that as your Spotify canvas, change it into a lyric video, Instagram Reels, TikTok pre-release images as well. So again, the idea here is to take what you have invested money in and really break that down into the smaller pieces of content so you can still cater to all the DSPs and all their needs specifically. Next slide.
Right on. So a ton of information, and we are kind of almost over already, but just to kind of sum up everything that you heard, it is really important. We keep saying it, that there's no silver bullet. There's no right way to do this. You need to figure out exactly what works for you in terms of an actual marketing strategy. But hopefully some of the tools and the tactics that we've gone through here will help you just familiarize yourself with how you build a great foundation that will make that marketing strategy you put together more impactful. You want to make sure you're taking full advantage of all of the platforms and all of the tools that are available to you. There are tons of wins out there. They are not only useful in terms of reaching a community more deeply and genuinely, right, but that also makes our job easier to be able to say to a DSP, hey, Spotify, they're using clips. They're using the tools that you've built for them. They're doing their job. Makes for a stronger statement on why they ought to trade that for some real estate, right? It makes it harder for you to be ignored. And that's the long and the short of it, right? What can we do to make your music stand out above everything else? We want, through what we just talked about with content and social style and that kind of thing, we want you to look at your socials as a get to, right? We so often hear people say they have to do this. I have to go post on X, Y, or Z. These channels were not available to artists even a decade ago in the way that they are now, and certainly not in terms of being able to dig into the analytics and see what you've done that has been effective and has actually reached people or not, right? So, especially when it comes to those insights, you got to see this as a get to connect with your audience in a way that is work, but is really, really impactful, right? You can't build an audience without being authentically you, right? So do as much as you can, but always be yourself. Fans are smart. They're going to sniff out fakes. Find what your style is, what your vibe is, what your things that are interesting about you are, and really communicate those on the platforms that you're most comfortable with. Yeah, you've got to syndicate it everywhere, but make sure that you're using the ones that you're most authentically you on. That's where you'll connect best. And then the big piece of it, right? Be intentional with your release plan. I'm going to make a t-shirt that says be a series, not a scene. Hopefully I don't get sued for it. You've spent months, maybe even years, creating this child, right? Creating this album, creating even this single. It doesn't need to come out tomorrow. It doesn't need to come out immediately. Your fans are waiting for it, but they can wait a little bit longer. Plan it. Lay out the plan. Be intentional about it. Give it lead time. Think about how this ought to reach your audience in a way that's going to make it live longer than today, tomorrow. One hit on one good playlist. Follow Adam Gross on Instagram, man. His conversation about how an artist builds an audience long-term and finally hits that $1 million follower mark years into a career. It's really interesting insight. Certainly something to check out. And listen, all of this can feel very daunting, right? This is just the beginning of what you kind of need to do to be in the game. And it can feel tough to do all this and still make music. But there are partners out there that can help. There are digital marketing partners to bring on to help you strategize. There are various tools and tactic partners that we're going to talk about really briefly in the next couple slides. that can help you execute the plan once it's put together, right? Invest in yourself, invest in the music you've made, invest in reaching an audience, because honestly, the audience is the only thing that matters. One playlist does not. Several playlists can help build that audience, but at the end of the day, if you don't have a fan base that's ready and waiting for the next song you make, there's not going to be growth. There's not going to be streams. It's difficult out there. So do your research, do the work. It's a lot of work. But if you don't do the work, somebody else is going to eat your lunch, we always say. And so get out there and make sure you're the one that gets to eat your own lunch, right? We're going to go super, super quickly through some things here in terms of our favorite partners, our secret weapons. There were a couple questions asked here. Felicia Palma, you had one in the question and answer section about SMS tools that we like that work really, really well. Company called Laylo, a platform called Community, even Slick Text, which has been around forever. Just really great ways to build a list that is super easy for you to reach. WhatsApp, of course, as Gabby mentioned, if you've got a large Latin American audience, that is a really great tool to reach in terms of SMS. But these tools can feel really personal, can be really quick and immediate, and can be really, rewarding. Folks can feel really connected to you this way. So check those out. Kat?
Cool. Yeah. And we had a question from the chat. I think it said, what are your thoughts on all these services that offer to get artists on playlists? So quickly before going into this one, wanted to clarify that as far as editorial playlists, no one should be promising that. The only people that can have that line of communication is going to be your distributor. So our team does that work at pitching. We can't guarantee playlists. But as far as third-party playlisting goes, we have a few of our favorite partners here, starting with Streaming Promotions. They're our sister company in-house. We like to describe them as kind of more of like the long-tailed organic approach, really that granular person-to-person outreach. They have a great network they've built up over the years and are consistently building up. And they also work more than one song at a time for a campaign. And then we also have Submit Hub, Playlist Push, and Groover on here, to name a few. Of the other ones. Really, the most important thing to pay attention to is just being conscious of which partners are above board for the Spotify terms and services. You're not paying to get on a playlist, you're paying to possibly get reviewed by that curator, and then they might choose to put you on that playlist. Things like that are what you want to pay attention to there.
In the influencer space, there's a few here we've worked closely with that we really like: Songfluencer and Preffy under that umbrella, Innovo and SpaceLoud. I think, even in conversations with these companies, I appreciate their transparency and saying like, look, come to us if you want to have the most impactful campaign, come to us when an artist has a little bit of organic traction already happening on platform. So if you're seeing a sound on TikTok start to get a little bit of organic virality, that might be a time where Songfluencer or an Innovo could come on board and help put fuel on the fire. I don't know if necessarily they can be expensive campaigns to get started. So usually better indicator to see if there's already an organic demand for a sound and some traction happening to then bring on one of these companies. But we've seen some really good work from them in our campaigns.
Yeah, quick note, there's a little bit of crossover here between that micro-influencer piece and the third-party playlisting partners too. There's platforms like Playlist Push where you can set up a very small and affordable micro-influencer campaign in the back end there on TikTok too. So definitely look into those. Anna?
Yeah, if you're looking to start a pre-save campaign, a pre-save link is going to be key. So these are some of the companies that we have partnered with. If you're a Symphonic client, you can find it on our platform, so you can create your pre-save links. But Feature FM, Bounty, Hyped. They also offer other things as well, stats, information about who's clicking on those pre-save links, emails and stuff. So make sure to check all of these out.
Cool. For fan acquisition / fan activation, these two platforms are really good, not only to building those relationships with fans, but also for collecting like those SMS numbers, those emails. Set.live is a really cool app that lets you like capture fan information at live shows. So they kind of check into the app. You can incentivize them to do so by giving them free merch or meet and greet, etc. They check in and it's kind of like a digital format of that show. They could like vote for a song for the encore, for example, really cool things that they can do with you. And then at the end, you get to keep all that information to then later use to, send out new music, merch drops, tour dates, etc. And then TuneSpeak is another really great website where artists can identify and reward their fans based on certain actions that they take. So they can like give away anything, a signed guitar, free tickets to a concert, cash prize. And then fans basically do certain things to get entries. So maybe add a song to a Spotify playlist for like 100 entries or join a mailing list for 1,000 entries. And then the fan accumulates these entries, and it kind of works like a raffle where in the end the artist picks one winner. Sometimes they have more winners to kind of get that big prize, but in the end, they get all these fans to do all these things for the artist. So really, really cool platforms, worth checking out for sure.
Cool. A couple in the data space. Chartmetric is an extremely, extremely robust platform. Excuse me, that combines social, streaming, and audience data. Really, really cool. Jump at Chartmetric. They do a snapshot. You can kind of see like the latest happenings, whether it's a peak in your streaming, peak in audience growth, and comparables. So like if you're an artist, you want to kind of compare your growth or your streaming numbers or your playlist ads to someone else that you think is in the same lane. Super easy to kind of A/B that data next to each other, all within Chartmetric. Song Stats. A little more playlist leaning, also has some data folded into it as well. This is an aggregator that not only shows editorial, but also third-party playlisting all in one spot.
Okay, and then for artificial intelligence, which could be a whole another conversation and deck by itself, there definitely are some tools to help artists with the content that they've created themselves. For instance, the Repurpose.io, if you upload like your music video, it's a tool to help you cut it into smaller bite-sized pieces for like the Spotify Canvas, TikTok Reels, etc. Also, ChatGPT is very helpful in regards to creating a schedule for yourself or reminders, or kind of inputting all that plans and ideas that you have and bringing it back to you in a organized format. So.
Right on. Super duper quick, just adding in on that data insights one. If you are a Symphonic client, the back end of Symphonic is really amazing for data. We're pulling a whole bunch of things in there that have been laid out super clearly, super cleanly, in terms of streaming numbers, in terms of audience, some really great TikTok analytics, which we were the first to have. So really good information there if you're a Symphonic client. Similarly, if you are a Symphonic client and you're looking for digital advertising, we do have that service in-house that you can apply for on our website. It's a great program put on by a member of our team who's down in Tampa. Some really terrific results there. We've also worked with killer platforms like Foundy. Foundy has a managed ad platform within the Symphonic website also, for smaller budgets, a little bit more granular kind of, almost micro advertising campaigns that you can access right out of our MS. Super, super helpful. And then a platform called Rise.la that we've been doing some work with too, that has a number of different moving parts in it that are really, really impactful. But that you should check out too. And I know there was a lot more to say about every single one of these. That is a whole nother webinar for us for sure. But we did just want to bring them up. We'll make sure that we've got links to these partners in the comments section when we're able to post this video up on our socials. And that's everything that we had. We went a little bit over, and I apologize. We did have a couple questions. The one regarding, music streaming services funded by ads and what the future of that looks like. That as well is an entire another webinar that I think would just take us a really long time to dig into and give any, thoughts that are worthwhile there. But maybe join us when we do talk about that one. We also had a question about artists on a budget. Any DSP platforms that it's worth spending money for the additional tools and analytics there? Wyatt and Anna, that was your section. You want to take that one?
Yeah, I would say with all the suite of all the free tools, I would say definitely start there. And when you start seeing traction on one of those platforms, it's not all about one DSP. I think the discovery across all is extremely important. If you were to spend a little bit of funds, though, I would definitely look into Marquee at this current time. But I would say start with the free stuff.
Thank you all for sticking around a couple extra minutes there for those details. We are going to do our best to get this one will get shared with you on the email that you registered to the webinar with. And then not positive what A2IM is going to do in terms of sharing it wider than that, but it'll be up on our socials if allowed. And there'll be some snippets there too. So Please hunt us down, ask any questions you didn't already put in the chat. Hope this was useful to everybody, and pair up these insights with all the other great webinars you've seen on building a marketing strategy. Good luck. We look forward to seeing you all out there. Have a great day.